Welcome to Mikey Likes You, the greatest health and fitness podcast on the planet, as decided by me. It is a Q&A. I'm going to get right into it and bring up my Q's that you guys have given me, and then I will give you A's. Let's see here. What do you do for hydration? From Joe Nathan 1190. I don't know how to answer this without trying, because I'm sure it's a good question. I think I'm misunderstanding the question. Because what do I do for hydration? I drink a lot of water, and that pretty much solves it. If you're referring to kind of water manipulation, I do think, like, if you're on a low carb diet, especially if you're lest we forget that carbohydrate, the last part of carbohydrate is hydrate. Okay. So when you're depriving yourself of carbohydrates, you do miss out on some muscle hydration, and it can affect, obviously, like electrolyte balances and things like that. And it's important to supplement with either, some sea salts prior to training, or a real good product is Rob Wolf's product, Element, LMNT. And there's a lot of similar products like that. But outside of that, so if you're going to engage in really high strenuous kind of activity and you feel like you're in need of antioxidants, I do recommend going with an antioxidant. If you are going to engage in strenuous activity and you feel like you are in need of electrolytes, I do recommend a product like that, an electrolyte product. But I salt all my food with really good quality Redmond sea salt, and I drink a lot of water. So, and my food that I choose, I specifically choose foods that are going to be giving me adequate amounts of the electrolytes that I know I need for my lifestyle. Potatoes for the potassium and things like that, and certainly a lot of calcium, phosphorus, avocados, sea salt again. Sometimes, a lot of different fruit. I eat a lot of fruit, so I think I know that I'm cared for when it comes to the electrolytes. So that's what I do for hydration. What's your favorite cryptocurrency? From Aaron Chase. I don't know. I don't have one. Whatever one you like, Aaron Chase. Hey, Mike, you live. I'm a flight attendant, and I've been doing this for over 3 years. I've gained 40 pounds since I started, and it's starting to show, and it's bumming me out. I work out 3 to 5 times a week, but the biggest problem is my diet. That's most people's problem, by the way. It's been hard for me to meal prep for these 4 to 6 day trips I get sent on, and I find myself eating a lot of snacks while in the air. 6'1", 140. I'd like to get back to 200. Oh, I'm sure that's a typo, because he said he gained 40, and he wants to get back to 200. So that must mean he's 6'1", 240. Because if you're 6'1", 140, we don't need to be worrying about much snacking. You should get to snacking. Here's the thing. Flight attendant is a perfect example of a job that really does make it extra hard to do something that most people find difficult as is. And that is meal prep, or staying on top and in control of the food that you eat, as opposed to just going about life and then finding something out in the wild, right? Because when you find something out of the wild, you're not going to make good choices, and you're not going to do it consistently. There's going to be fast food. There's going to be vending machine food. There's going to be, convenience store food. That's the way things go. And that is what truly separates people who have long-term nutritional success. I'm not even going to say diet, because it doesn't even have to be a matter of weight loss. I'm talking about people like myself, who I'm not concerned with losing weight. I don't find that I'm overweight, but I have long-term consistent nutritional health for a reason. And it's not because I'm so smart and I know which foods to eat and which foods not to eat. I think there's something there that's at play. But honestly, it's because I am always in charge of what I'm eating. Always. From the beginning, from the moment I wake up to the to the second I go to bed, and sometimes even prior to going to bed for the next day. And I have been in situations in my life where I was traveling a lot, where I was going from one job to the next across town. And if any of you guys live in Southern California, I used to do a radio show early in the morning. I had to be live on the air at 5 a.m. Then it'd be at Mid-Wilshire at noon, then go back to my house in Pasadena at the time, and then get back to Loveline at 10 p.m. So I know what I'm talking about. It sounds easy for me from my life perspective now to go and give you this advice. Just always be prepared. Yeah, you spend a lot of time in my home now, especially after the lockdown. But I know what I'm talking about. And even during those times, I just didn't go to work or go to a meeting and then not have any idea of what I was going to do for my food. When I go on a road trip with my family now, I've got an apple and some chicken thigh or some sirloin. I provide this for my family. I feel like I'm quite resourceful. I am the provider. But that's, you know what I'm saying? Or if that's not the case, I know, hey, we're driving to San Antonio this weekend. Check online. There's there's a Hop Daddy grass-fed burger 20 miles into our trip. We'll be there probably around 11:30. Boom, that's our lunch. I'm going to take some bone broth and heat it up, mix it with some sea salt, and that's going to be my little snack on the way home so that when I get back for dinner around 7, everything will be easy peasy. I mean, that's the level of planning that goes into it. Now, that was kind of a long aside to get to what should I do about it. What I'm telling you is that you can't, if you guys want this, if you guys and gals, if you want to lose a lot of weight, if you want to lose a lot of body fat, if you want to gain muscle, the biggest tip I can give you it has nothing to do with sets and reps, and it has nothing to do with certain calories or protein intake. It's that take control of all this shit. Take control of all of it. I get so many people in my top tier on Patreon. They say, I feel bad, man. And I go, I'm not going to judge you. Just give me the update. What's going on? I cannot get this much protein in, and I'm not asking them to do exorbitant amounts, And I'll say, well, why? And they'll say, well, next thing you know, I get to work and I'm on my way home and it's 4:30. I've only had 20 grams. And I go, listen, just don't do that. And, he or she will say, well, what do you mean? I go, don't do that. Don't allow yourself to be at sundown having only 20 grams of protein. When you wake up, get 30 fucking grams in your mouth. Have something to take with you to work that has 25 to 40 grams. My point being is like, you have to take control. Now, yeah, if you're a flight attendant, you don't really have access to much. And I'm sure there's probably limitations on what you can even bring onto the plane. So I get that. You're in a very, very strange position when it comes to meal planning. But this is one of the very rare situations where I would say, look, liquid protein is going to be helpful. If that's a problem as far as bringing that on to the plane, because I know it is liquid, you can travel in, because I travel with it, so they must allow you on, if they allow me on, a bag, like a Ziploc bag with powdered protein in it. And you're on your flight, grab a little bottle of water, shake that up, mix it. If you're in the air longer, maybe do that again. But when you get back, you land, you get the ability then to start making those choices. Sure, of course, you're going to want to go to restaurants, maybe with coworkers and things like that. But the more you can take control and then go to a local grocery store, I'm assuming a lot of flight attendants consistently fly the same routes, and so you're probably familiar with a lot of the places you're landing. It's going to be a little bit of extra effort to stop by the grocery market on the way home and get yourself like a chicken breast that's pre-cooked, because I know you might not have a kitchen. Get yourself some fruit for the morning with some hard-boiled, you could do hard-boiled eggs, or your hotel may have breakfast. My point being is that you have to take control of it instead of just being a passenger in life and then expecting food to just show up. Because if that's your route, I'm telling you, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And you could do fucking keto, or you could do intermittent fasting, or you could do vegan, or you could do carnivore. If you are constantly living your life where you're just expecting like, oh, when the time comes when I get hungry, I'll find food. Not in this fucking country. No way. Because these billion-dollar corporations are way too good at providing you with all this convenience food and making it really, really readily available on the spot at a pretty fucking appealing price. So the longer you go in this kind of backseat mode of putting food in your body, the higher the risk of you eating food that is just not going to be good for you in the long run. And I'm not even talking about good for you from a health standpoint. I'm talking about you are not, regardless if your goal is weight gain, muscle gain, fat loss, overall performance, that is not going to work out. Okay. I can guarantee you that is, in my opinion, the biggest tip I can say. It's like, cut out this idea of being passive when it comes to the food that you eat. You have to be completely in control, and you're always knowing when and where you're going to eat and what you're going to be eating. Now, does that include every fucking day of every fucking moment of your life? Of course not. There's special occasions. There's going out to drinks, and there's going out to dinner with loved ones. And I believe that that is really important, and you should do that and not have to take Tupperware with you all the time. I'm talking about day in and day out by and large. So don't go, it's like, well, not all of us are fucking dorky fitness guys like you, Mike, okay? We have lives. Yeah, I get it. And if you're going out to dinner with coworkers, if you're going out to dinner with loved ones, if you're going on a date, I don't expect you to bring a food scale and measure out your lean sirloin, shitbag. What I'm saying is that Monday through Friday, day in and day out, the overwhelming majority of your life cannot be lived in the fashion of not knowing. You have to take control. It's a decision you make. Thank you. Trey thinks, guy always asks a lot of good questions. If you had to choose between essential amino acids and creatine, which one would you choose? Also, why does creatine get a bad rap? That's like saying if you had to choose between a 4x4 truck or a 70 Charger, which one would you choose? It would be like, well, whoa, that's not really comparison you can make. You know what I'm saying? They're so vastly different things. Essential amino acids are the 9 essential amino acids that the body needs to function. Okay. There are many more than 9 amino acids, but those 9 are the ones that are essential to the human system. Okay. Those are very good for dieting, for pre-workout, for just keeping amino acids flooding your system. They're also incredibly low calorie, sometimes like negligible amounts of calories in comparison to the 9 essential amino acids they're providing you. So it's kind of like a cheat code to get extra protein without getting extra calories. Okay. I like essential amino acids. I don't take essential amino acids because they're costly, and I eat food. I'm good when it comes to getting my nutrients in. Okay. Creatine, on the other hand, is something above and beyond what you're going to get from your food. So I guess my answer is, if I had to choose between the two, I would choose creatine monohydrate simply because you can eat and live a life that makes it so you don't need essential amino acids. They're incredibly useful, and they're incredibly effective. They help with hunger. They help with curbing cravings. They help with cognitive function. They help with athletic performance. I'm not shitting on EAAs. What I am saying is that if you are really careful and focused, you don't need them because you intake enough dietary protein. Creatine, on the other hand, you can't eat enough steak to get the levels of creatine that make 5 grams of fucking cheap-ass creatine really effective at doing a lot of stuff. So if I had to choose between the two, I would choose creatine, German Creapure creatine monohydrate. Great bang for your buck. Your next question is, why does creatine get a bad rap? I don't know. I didn't know that it had one. And if people are giving creatine a bad rap, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The end. When are you bringing back Kula Breakers hoodies? I should make some more Rudy hoodies. I finally got my girl to agree to doing the 5x5 with me. This is from Out There to Kill. You're out there to kill. All right, buddy. I finally got my girl to agree to doing the 5x5 with me, but I'm wondering if any of the workouts should be changed or altered for her. Now, this is a very good question. I don't think that necessarily any exercises need to be altered for female versus male. What I do think, especially when we're talking about building the framework, true strength training, I don't think anything needs to be changed. What I do think is that if we're going to talk accessory exercises, I do think that there should be some choices made for women that men shouldn't make, or vice versa. I also think that the performance of the 3 main exercises can be changed for male versus female. Females tend to do a lot better low bar squatting, and they tend to do better with sumo deadlift compared to men with conventional high bar squats and conventional deadlifts. There's biological and anatomical reasons for this. Another reason is that the 2 aforementioned exercises, the female version tends to put more emphasis on the glutes in comparison to the quads, or the upper back in the case of the deadlift. Naturally, you can see why women tend to want to gravitate more towards building their booty, and also women have more. When we're talking about just biomechanically, women can drive out way more force from their glutes and their kind of lower back compared to men who our hip structure doesn't make it that way. We're a little bit more dominant upon like our upper back and the quad region. So I could see how you could at least provide that information to a woman to see if she would like to do that. Outside of that, I love the idea that you finally got your girlfriend lifting real weights, or your wife, and I love the idea that you're doing it together. It really is awesome. I know it seemed corny as fuck to be like, oh, let's go to the gym, honey. We're gonna go pump together. I get it. It fucking seems corny, but it isn't, and it's awesome. And if you guys can motivate each other instead of bicker at each other, it really becomes quite a profound bonding experience for a romantic couple. Let's see here. Fredville 2000. I'm constantly reading articles saying natural weightlifters need to stop worshiping the big 3 and dumbbell variants are better for building muscles. What are your thoughts on this? I get more satisfaction with the barbell workouts. Okay. Look, when he's talking about the big 3, Fredville 2000, he's talking about deadlift, bench press, and squat. If we're talking purely for building muscle, when actual tension and damage done to muscle cells, okay, for the sake of hypertrophy, for growing muscles, those 3 aren't necessarily the best choices. If you're analyzing it from purely the amount of stress put on muscle bellies, the squat is not very good at creating stress on the quads in comparison to something like a leg press and leg extension, okay? In comparison to something like a machine row, a deadlift doesn't really do all that much for muscle damage and muscle stress compared to like a machine row when it comes to, pure muscle contraction, things like that. And the bench press, in comparison to, say, like a shoulder level cable fly or a dumbbell variant of the bench press, the dumbbell variant or the cable fly is going to provide more direct stress on the muscles of the chest than a bench press. Okay. But here's the rub. There's more to building muscle and building a pleasing physique than just damaging muscle tissue. It's obviously a crucial component when it comes to building muscle. Crucial component. But there has to be work done on force development. If you are a skinny fat person, I'm not saying you are, Fredville. I'm talking about in general. If you're just a regular, if you're scrawny or you're skinny fat or you're fat and you want to get a nice body, you could do all the fucking cable curls and dumbbell, I don't want to say dumbbell press, but or body weight squats and high rep leg curls and all that shit. You could do that and you will get fuck all. Trust me. I am perfectly aware and more than willing to admit, I want you guys to know something. My mind is water. I do not tightly hold to any ideas, even when it comes to stuff like fitness and nutrition. I think some things tend to be more beneficial than others, and there's a lot of science and conclusive science to back those things up. I do think that I have my own personal feelings from my experience, and sometimes those two little things go together in a Venn diagram. That's the kind of stuff I like to hammer home. But when it comes to anything, like when I had the great Doug Brignoli on the show, I'm more than happy to explore I'm not married to the idea that you have to squat and deadlift heavy to have a beautiful physique. What I am saying is that when I say these things, there's something there to back it up. I'm not just saying it because it's hardcore, bro. The hormonal response, and it's funny that you say natural athletes. In my opinion, natural athletes need to be lifting heavy, especially with deadlifts and squats, more so than someone who's supplementing with Mexican supplements. Because the biggest benefit to those exercises in the lower rep ranges is the hormonal benefit and the metabolic benefit. If you're using exogenous testosterone and an anabolic, you don't really need to fucking worry about that. You can just go in and hammer in the leg press, really feel contractions, just focus in on what's anatomically putting the most stress on each muscle group. You don't have to worry about metabolic shit, and you don't have to worry about fucking hormonal shit because you're taking steroids. Okay? The natural athlete needs to. Now, if you are talking about pure hypertrophy, if you are skinny and you want to jack up, I do think that you shouldn't be just building everything around deadlift, squat, bench press. Deadlift, in fact, I think maybe you could taper off. But certainly high bar squatting and front bar or front squatting should stay in people's programs. But when it's pure muscle growth is your goal, I completely agree that there are other exercises and other ways to manipulate your body for when it comes to hypertrophy. When it comes to fat loss, I will love to have that conversation with people. I don't think that there's any debate or there's going to be any reasonable kind of scientific evidence to go against the idea that heavy compound lifting is going to be better combined with a caloric deficit is going to be better for fat loss in the long run. Patrick Cook, is a daily amino acid supplement necessary and should it be taken on rest days? Answer to question A is no. There's no, listen, if you listen to last week's episode, there's no supplement that's necessary. Some are more useful than others, and some are more practical to use than others. Vitamin D, fish oil, those are things that by no means necessary. Like you're fucked if you don't take it. There's nothing like that. And there's certainly nothing in the sports supplement world that's like that. It's really smart to supplement with vitamin D. Most people don't get enough. It's really smart to take omega-3s. It's really smart to maybe even use creatine, even if you're not worried about getting big muscles. But an amino acid supplement, essential amino acids, a great supplement. We were talking about it earlier in the episode. It's not necessary. Just eat fucking protein. Trust me, you'll be fine. But it's a good supplement, but not necessary. Now, do you take it on rest days? That's up to you. I have found that the dieting athlete really likes essential amino acids because it helps curb cravings. M Valley 81, how do you feel about every time I die splitting up? It's heartbreaking. I was getting my haircut today. What do you think? And my barber, he, by the way, really good dude. If any of you guys are in the Austin area, I'm looking up, I always forget the name of the fucking salon. Sorvek? Yeah, I think that's it. Sorvek Salon. It's a men's like sportswear boutique and hair salon. And not only do they, I think they're really good at their job, but it's just such a great environment. Two brothers, they started their own business. They're young guys, like 27 and 28. And I really, so if you're in the Austin area and you need to get your hair cut, Sovek. I have the name on my phone, but my phone's filming me. Let's see here. All right, let's go back to the question. So every time I die, yeah. I was bummed as fuck. I love Every Time I Die. I like the men in Every Time I Die. And it's really sad to hear that they can't make it work. Because I know how hard they work for years and how much they're professionals, you know? Oh, Gloria, stop it. Jimmy Mac 10. Should dumbbell overhead presses be done seated or standing? I typically do standing, but have been struggling to progress. Also, could you explain the difference in qualities of protein between a protein shake and animal protein? Yes, the quality of protein in animal protein is better. The end. That's the explanation. I don't know what to tell you. The quality of protein, I guess there's certainly an argument of bioavailability with things like whey isolate and stuff like that, and digestion rate. But over the long term, there's going to be more digestive health. It's more chemically appropriate for your body to fucking eat steak. The end. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not saying don't take protein shakes. What I'm saying is the quality when it comes to a mammal fucking chewing on food, it's going to be better than liquid calories all the time. We have salivary glands. We have a digestive tract. We have big, sharp teeth. I'm not getting into the argument of eat meat versus plant-based. I'm just saying chewing shit and then allowing the digestive process, which starts right here with the fucking salivary glands, to then digest and extrude and pick and choose the available nutrients, both macro and micro, from food, is going to be better all the time, every time. There is a lot of studies over a lot of years, okay, because they've been isolating vitamins, minerals, and supplements of food-based supplements for a long time. One of the most famous that I can think of, at least off the top of my head, I wish I could think of like who did the study, but it's very easy to find. They took beta carotene and they isolated it. And they took vitamin A and they isolated it. And they realized that that was what was in a carrot that made eyesight improve. They did a double-blind, long-term study. No matter what the doses of the two mentioned things, they could not figure out why eating the carrot was always superior. And they added in different things from the carrot to add in with the beta carotene. It didn't work. They could not figure out a way to mimic the process of digesting carrot, even if they were to isolate all the different shit. And that goes for a lot of things. It's really hard to replicate something that is exogenous from the body. It's really difficult to take something, remove it from its original source, and then provide it in a product and have it be as good as what its natural source would be. And that's incredibly true when it comes to protein. Now, you said something else. Oh yeah. Should dumbbell overhead presses be done seated or standing? They're really two super different exercises. Dumbbell overhead presses should, in my opinion, be done seated. You get a better ability to really isolate the medial and anterior heads of your deltoid, and you can just really focus on driving in your the tension into those muscles of intention. Barbell overhead press should be done standing because you want to go heavier on a barbell overhead press, and there's a lot of value in having to brace your core and your what people call the core and get your torso in a position to properly overhead press heavy, and then extension of the front head. And either way, the range of motion to do it right and the ability to maintain the torso position to properly overhead press, especially when you start getting heavy, is as beneficial to me as the exercise itself. So I believe that's my reasoning when I say, if you're going to dumbbell, shoulder press, overhead press, sit down. It's great because you can really drive it in. But if you're going to overhead press with a barbell, you should do it standing. That's my take. This is an interesting question. Richie Benson Jr. Is it me here in shitty California, or is there a creatine with Creapure shortage? On it, out. German creatine, out. At least where I'm looking, any other creatine alternatives? I don't know. That sounds reasonable considering there's been shortages of a lot of products in a lot of different fields. I just don't know, man. I'm sorry. I always like to give True Nutrition a plug. No fucking affiliation. I just really like that company. Let's see here. I think it's just truenutrition.com. Because you can kind of custom make anything you want there, whether it be a protein shake, a blend that you want to, or your supplements. You add beta alanine to your creatine. They sell real Creapure creatine. You know how big I am on that bullshit. And it's also, they sell in bulk. You're getting there's no middleman. You're getting a good price. So yeah, truenutrition.com. Delicious water. One more question for that ass. So 10 minutes ago, getting ready to do this, I had to do, there's never ending chores in this house. Big farmhouse, with animals, and animals fuck shit up. And there's just tons of domestic chores all the time, right? So I had to fill a crack in the bathroom. There's deep behind the bathtub. My wife's like, hey, there's a crack there. And who knows if weather problems or climate problems or pests can get in. I was like, all right, shit, no problem. So I got this the sealant. I go and I do it. And I there was excess sealant. So I had to chop away at it once it dried. And so there's all this fakakta on the floor, right? So I had just come from the gym and I was in my gym shorts, really flowy gym shorts, soft ones that you would want to wear to a strip club with no underwear. So you could get maybe a unforeseen explosion, but they were really flowy loose. And I get the big, powerful shop vac, right? And it's it got that long extended hose because I had to go and get on my back and put it behind the bathtub to get all these shavings off the fucking ground. So the shop vac's going and it's on. It's and my phone is ringing in my pocket. It's vibrating. And I was actually it was really important that my wife got in touch with me. I had already just texted her, can you please blah, blah, blah. Because I need her to stop by the hardware store again and get something else for me on our way home. So I go to, with my left hand reaching in my pocket and I can't get it. And so I roll over and in my right hand is the still going hose. And I went like this to roll over and my arm goes and I sucked my dick into the fucking shop vac. I didn't even mean it. My wiener, it's like, it's like a opening like that. Okay. Like it's a good 4 or 5 inch opening. It's like a industrial grade shop vac. And my balls and dick went, and I was like, oh, it didn't hurt. It wasn't, it's not like like the space lock door where they open it's like sucking it off. It was just such, especially like I didn't plan on that happening. So it was like such a strange, crazy feeling. I mean, I thought I'd tell you that. All right, 2-part questions. I just started doing power cleans again after not doing them since high school. What is considered one full rep? Bar on the ground every time. What muscle group day should I do them? Thanks. Power clean, a true power clean is done from the ground every time, just like a deadlift. There's a reason why it's called the deadlift, because it starts from a dead stop, not because they kill you and they make you dead. So all this bullshit where you're bouncing up and down. No, deadlifts start from a dead stop. Power clean, the Olympic lifts as well, both the snatch and the clean, they start from a dead stop. Now, hanging power cleans, different story. They start obviously from, just below, from a hang position. Those I think you can bang out without resetting as much. You still should reset, but any Olympic lift done from the ground especially is, stop with the touch and go. It's already a precarious thing to do Olympic lifting. You're going to hurt yourself. It's really complex, really complicated. It's very impressive when people can do it. But don't throw other variables in that can only make things worse. All right. In this crazy mixed up world that makes you think that nobody cares, remember one thing. I do. Be good, people.